This is Nice to be Noted podcast by HISSWU.
That I was called Japan Ajahn Young's exile when he left the country. The whole society did not understand LGBTQ in the first place.
We will begin the question in another level. I would like to invite your spouse to talk to this conversation.
Question for both of you guys. That how do you say to the parents that have LGBTQ plus children? How do you say to us?
You want to start with Bob?
Yeah. Okay.
พ่อแม่ที่มีลูกเป็น LGBTQ จะพูด parents to the children.
Yeah, because they are like older generation.
พ่อแม่จะบอกลูกยังไงหรือว่าพอรู้แล้วจะพูดอะไรกับลูก
ก็น่าจะต้องให้โอกาสเขาครับในการที่จะต้องเป็นผู้ใหญ่ในสังคมต่อไปเพื่อที่จะได้ไม่เป็นปัญหากับสังคมไม่ว่าจะเป็นเรื่องเกี่ยวกับความเสี่ยงทางด้านอบายมุขต่างๆนะครับไม่ว่าจะเป็นการที่หยุดเขาไม่ให้เขาเติบโตในทางด้านการศึกษาแล้วก็เป็นอนาคตของสังคม
Parents need to give mental support according to Bob, so a child or children would be stable enough and confident enough to carry on their life in a good way without falling into the traps of bad things.
From your
From me, I believe that parents should realize first that no matter how much they love the children have the lives of their own. I mean, I think in Thai society, and it is not so backward now. I think lots of people have improved, but I just want to mention that love is not enough. Love is important. Parents to children or to anyone, love is important. But love is not enough. What we need is respect. Love and respect. Respect that each child is alive, independent life of her or his own. So when we realize that, our attitude will change. We are not the controller of their lives. Right? We are the helper. We are the accommodator of their lives. When they say that, I think I'm gay, I think I'm a lesbian, I think I like a person of my own sex. Of course, it could be a shock because it goes against the so-called norm or what most people do. But parents should realize that when the child brings that fact to them, it means that they trust them. Right? They trust them. They should feel blessed that a child trusts them enough to tell the most painful secret that a child can have, sexual orientation. So by that understanding, the attitude should be to help. That's all I need to say. Each family is different. Some family talks a lot, some family doesn't talk at all. So it depends on how you handle it. But love and respect should be the order today.
and when you give the society better understanding about the gender diversity in society. Some people might say they are so bad and it's something so against all the norm and maybe a big trouble of that society. But you say to give them a better understanding about the queer people.
คือสังคมมอง LGBT อย่างไงผมก็บอกมันเลวแล้วมันเป็นของไม่ดีเลยผมไม่ยอมรับสังคมมองอย่างไง
สังคมทั้งภายในกับภายนอกนะครับภายในก็อาจจะทั้งครอบครัวภายนอกก็คือสิ่งที่เราต้องเจอในสังคมอย่างเช่นการทำงานหรือว่าเพื่อนที่ทำงานใช่ไหมคือที่สำคัญคือครอบครัวเนี่ยครับเป็นสถานะหลักเลยที่จะสร้างการให้เขาที่จะเอาไปเผชิญกับโลกภายนอกได้เพราะไม่งั้นเราการที่ไปเจอภาษาต่างๆเช่นการถูกเหยียดหรือว่าการไม่ได้ถึงตำแหน่งงานจากความเป็นหลากหลายทางเพศเนี่ยมันก็จะทำให้เขาดรอปแล้วก็ไม่สามารถพัฒนาตัวเองได้
People divide that life and that phase of life into two prongs, two parts. The first part is all domestic, in ใช้คำว่าข้างในใช่ไหม like how would I say domestic lives then social life. In domestic life, Bob believes that it's very important to give a child the confidence to be what they are. because the society outside may not be so understanding in the first place. So in the interim period. In other words, imagine that, I mean, that's what I said from what Bob said, like if the family doesn't understand, doesn't provide a platform for that child, then where would that child turn to, right? I mean, and when they face, like Bob said, humiliation or discrimination or harassment in life, then they will become lost. And so many bad things can happen to them. So the bad thing is not what the society feel about that person, according to Bob, but the lack of support from the family. And from my opinion, I agree with him. I think the family is a nucleus inside us. You know, we are a human being, can be fragile, can be strong, right? But then what is the inside of it? Somebody call it grit. The grit inside it, made from what? You know, made from paper or metal or whatever. The family could turn the grit into the metal structure for each child. So no matter how society reacts to them, they would be ready to handle. But of course, we have to campaign in the society also to understand the dignity of human being, no matter who they are. And then when the two combine, then society would be normal. I hope that in 5 years from now, we would stop talking about LGBTQ. Because it would be so normal, right? Everyone is, okay, you are, okay, yes, okay. There's no need to be alarmed about or to feel different about it. That's what I hope.
And I think in both your time in the early 2000s, it could be very rough for you to have to be.
Oh, the two of us?
Yes. I mean, the turmoil and the people in not understanding. Why do you love the same sex as
let me start คืออยากรู้ว่ามันยุ่งยากจะตายดีรักเพศเดียวกันนะเรามาทำไมเราแต่ในยุคเราเนี่ย Well, first of all, it's not a choice. It's a reality, you see. I started feeling for the same sex since I was 9. But the feeling was not sexual. It was some kind of happiness to be closer to someone, which I could not understand. I couldn't explain myself. See? Sexual orientation and love are not what you choose, actually. If you don't mind me being a little cheesy, I can say that you don't choose it. You fall into it. Right? You fall into it. So in my Bob's case, we knew each other 23 years ago. It was a time that unthinkable that I would be telling the society that I'm gay. Because if I did that at the time, then I think the odds against me would be too great. And I couldn't have lived my life the way I live today. I believe that. And I also have to grow up. Because when you cannot help yourself, you cannot, take care of yourself, then whatever you say to your family, the family will believe that they have to bear responsibility for that. Right? For example, if you say when you are 17, for example, or 16, that Mom, I'm gay. The mother would cry and say, don't tell them. I'll try to find you a pretty woman. One day you might change your mind. And then nothing happened. The guy grew up and continued to feel the same way. But once that child finished the proper education or whatever, that mother believed that the son is now ready to be out there on his own 2 legs, the feeling about sexuality would change. So in other words, the family is fearful of the child LGBTQ orientation because the family feel that they have to be responsible for that. What if you cannot find a job? What if you're fired from work? Then you have to stay at home. And, well, I'm getting older, you know. Why don't you go out and find your job, you know, take care of yourself? So I would say this, to my experience, if you can take care of yourself, if you are disciplined enough to carry on a good life, then the matter of sexual relationship would be less a problem for you. we have to do as well จำได้ไหมมันเป็นยากจะตาย
ก็คือทางเรื่องของเด็กเราเนี่ยนะครับที่ต้องเป็นตั้งแต่เด็กเนี่ยไม่มีใครรู้ว่าตอนที่เขาเรียนตั้งแต่ตอนเล็กเนี่ยจนโตเนี่ยเขาต้องเจออะไรบ้างในอนาคตเป็นว่าเขา
เดี๋ยวรู้ตั้งนานแล้วจะเป็นต้นเด็ก
เขาจะต้องรู้ว่าจะต้องทำตัวยังไงเพื่อจะให้อยู่รอดในสังคมได้แต่ว่าเป็นคนที่เป็น LGBTQ อีกคนเดียวในห้องเรียนก็ตาม
In this case, he kind of realized early on that he might be a gay or whatever, but he learned how to survive the hostile environment since the classroom. So perhaps what Bob said is classrooms are the first place or schools that you have to face everything, like a replica of the whole society.
So what are you gonna do? Like, how do you dealing or how do you live in a country that unacceptable about LGBTQ+?
อยู่ยังไงถ้าหากว่าประเทศไม่รับไม่ยอมรับเรื่องนี้
ก็มันก็มีหลายเรื่องนะไม่ว่าจะเป็นบางประเทศที่มีศาสนาต้องห้ามให้คนที่เป็นกลุ่มหลากหลายประเทศจะต้องปิดบังตัวเองแต่ละทางประเทศที่ให้แบบคนที่เป็นกลุ่มหลากหลายประเทศเข้าประเทศเขาเองนะครับก็ต้องเหมือนกับเขาว่ายังต้องปรับตัวมากคนที่เปิดเสรีแล้ว
Well, he realizes, Bob realizes that many countries have different approaches to go against LGBTQ, some religiously, some politically. His recommendation is to keep yourself adjustable. You have to be adjustable. If I may expand from what he said, is that we cannot just announce that what we are and expect the whole society or the whole world to comply with us. So we have to be able to be flexible. In my opinion, yes, you're right. If the society is not in acceptance of LGBTQ, then we are in a more difficult situation. But of course, we are in the transition time. See, the transition of human being sometimes takes 100 years. And if you ask a historian, they may say, well, it may take 500 years, you see. So the point is, we have to understand history. Now history comes to play a part. Because history would give us what I would say as the how would I say, the length of time, or the sense of time. It would give us the sense of time. In other words, you know that you're gay today. And would you expect the Thai society to accept it in 1 week? No, right? You learn that, wow, it's adjusting, but probably slowly. I believe that some Thai elders now are in more acceptance of LGBTQ, but still not 100%. So we cannot throw things in their face and say, hey, accept it. Right? We just have to speak out. That's okay. Like Bob and I realize that when we go to a place where we have the mix between the conservatives and liberals and such, we don't force the issue. Some people have their own view. For example, even my cousins, my families, they kind of gather that strength enough, maybe from the second time of meetings, to talk to Bob. The first time they didn't talk, they just welcome and stay away. And then they started to come closer and closer. But we agreed that we would be the one who are patient. Yeah, we do not want to say that if you don't accept now, I will never come again. We don't say that. We say that let us be the one who are patient.
Give them time.
Give them time. Give them, yeah, because human is human. You know. When people believe something for 60 years, then you say that no. What you understand is the opposite. Give them time.
And when you're living abroad, and it's pretty rough time for both of you to have to keep your relationship together. And how did you deal with it? Like, you kept everything.
When I was away, ตอนนี้เราแยกกัน15 ปีอยู่ยังไงไม่แยก
โซเชียลมีเดียนะครับแล้วก็ต้องขอบคุณเลยว่ามันช่วยให้เราแบบว่าหายคิดถึงกันในช่วงระยะเวลาที่ต่างประเทศกัน
Well, social medias are something that Bob, thanks so much. I mean, thanks ultimately, because that kept us going by seeing our face and hearing the voice. Me too. I first saw Bob through Skype, which is an ancient platform now, but it was new at the time. And you wouldn't imagine, I mean, maybe your generation couldn't imagine or find it hard to imagine that how joyful I was when I saw his face on the screen for the first time. After 3 or 4 months of not knowing whether I survived or not, maybe I died already. And after those months, then I saw him. I couldn't talk. I just keep saying whether it's real.
And what did you say to him?
จำได้วันที่คุยครั้งแรกนี่หลายเดือนแล้วนะโผล่หน้ามาพี่บอกพี่พูดไม่ออก
เหมือนกับหายกันไปช่วงระยะเวลา
แล้วหนูพูดอะไรเขาถามหนูพูดอะไร
แล้วก็เป็นยังไงบ้างอะไรอย่างเงี้ย
He just said, how are you? And how's you doing? So it's just choppy.
ต่ออะไรอย่างเงี้ย
Well, imagine we didn't know what happened to each other. But of course, history also reminds me that during Ajahn Priti Panokyo's exile, when he left the country, and the first time he reconnected with Kun Suk, his wife, the children, it has been 2 years. When his house was attacked and he had to flee, the period of time before he reconnected with his family was 2 years. 2 years without anything like this. 2 years with even writing a letter was hard because it was intercepted by the government. Or at least someone had read it before it reached you. And some letters, they even cut some parts out.
File.
Yeah, I mean, directly, you knew that someone censored it. Imagine the hardship of that time. So history teaches me about the agony of human abusing human. It didn't start from us. So when we want to grieve, then we grieve proportionately. You were not the first one. You're not the first one. There are many before us. Then eventually we came together, reunited after 15 years. So we believe that it's good enough. We couldn't recall those 15 years, but we can make the next 15 years or more to be what we like.
Very good. Right. Vijay, both of you.
ใช่ไหมเรา15 ปีกลับไม่ได้แต่15 ปีต่อไปแล้วมากนะครับ
And when did your maybe say the great secret that you had and queer people, and when the Thai media found out they discriminated you, called you JPEG, and how did you deal with it?
They did. Well, for your generation's sake, to call someone J or Saw or a male character to be called with the female supposition. The caller aimed to hurt you, to hurt your feeling, to say that you're not good, you're not normal, you are devious, you are twisted. Every feeling would go into that. And people who opposed me politically would call me JPEG at that time. But the secret is, it didn't bother me. Because you know why? Because the whole society did not understand LGBTQ in the first place, So how would they react correctly? And moreover, I asked Bob about it, whether it bothered him that I was called JPEG. He said, that's okay, it's funny. So when the love of my life, my spouse, didn't care about it, why would I care? Why should I care? And then afterwards, when I announced myself publicly as a gay, I criticized them that don't call me JPEG, I'm a HISSWU-Pen, you see. Hey, you put my function wrong. But that's beside the point. The point is no one should be abusing each other based on sexual or other orientations.
What do you feel about the direction of history and LGBTQ+ in Thailand will move which way?
Historically speaking, I think it would be positive. People would understand more and more deeply about the issue. As I jokingly told you before, that the best way is not to have this issue anymore, right? Like gender issue, we have to talk about women's equity. The best thing is that we don't have to talk about that anymore because it's there already. But of course, there's a bridge to go there. There's a transition to go there. So I think history and LGBTQ would go like this. I think LGBTQ people or people who have interest in the issue would, or other sociologists would, even anthropologists, you see, historians, would find it interesting to go back in time to see what LGBTQ was depicted in the past. You don't have to go far, you go to Greece, the country, Greece, and you saw some murals, the painted on, even on some churches, or on some teapot. There's a man, a wife, and a young man in the family. Thousands of years ago, it was fashionable that a man could sleep with both female or male, that they felt like. And then a young man who was nice and cute and, sexually adorable at the time would grow up and become his own man, and he can have a wife and his young man. It went on for many years. I didn't say whether it's good or not, right? But the point is, it happened before. We're not talking about the issue, we're talking about historical issue. We're talking about historical evolution. So what I believe is the role of religions force us to decide what is right or wrong. And what we are doing now is to remove that from our lives. Not religion from our lives, but the notion from our lives. The reason why we do that is one thing. If we keep that intact, it dehumanizes people. It makes people unequal, right? I mean, if it stays. If we remove them, it will make them equal, yes. And history is probably the only tool to explain to us the context of this history, where it was, what it is now, and where it lays ahead in the future. I think history would do a lot, not only for LGBTQ, but also to mend the political rift, to combine different ideologies, precisely because it's given the context that we are not one person full of ego. We're just one of the millions and millions and millions. And history tells us that. So I think as both of you are still in history, you should be proud. And you can define yourself very broadly in the future, because history can explain everything.
And I love how you tell them history is not necessary for maybe in the future, in the technology era, and how you work. I mean, I would say you are the only one, the big political name to express the LGBTQ. It's not that. It's all the people, they are the same, and you give them parent, give them understanding. And your deed remind me of the famous quote from Martin Luther King Jr. I have a dream that one day the black people will not judge by the skin of color, but by the content of their character.
Yes.
And your aspect is queer people will not judge by their gender, but their own character. And then thank you everything for you to express the knowledge and give us a better understanding.
Not at all. It's not only good for us, but it's good for everyone who felt or feel like us. And it helped us. You couldn't imagine that after I announced it, how relieved I was. It helps me. I feel like I don't care about the criticism anymore. Come on, shoot me again.
Go for it.
In other words, it strengthens yourself that you can tell the whole world that you're yourself.
Thank you. It's our honor to have you in our
Thank you very
episode.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you for and your boyfriend too. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to collab with you again.
These two.
Yeah. See you next episode with us, Nice and Not Podcast by HISSWU-Channel. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the good podcasts like this. And who will be the next guest in our episode? Don't forget to follow us.